The question since last season was whether Ohio State's defense was going to improve enough to get back on the field with Michigan after it got run over by Michigan last year and be able to win that game and win a Big Ten championship and go on to the playoff, and that is still where we are a year later. I'm Lathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Stephen Means and Doug Lesmerises. We're standing here after Ohio State's 43-30 victory at Maryland, and I don't know that today told us a ton just because the style of play that you're going to see from Michigan is so different, but just where is this defense at as we head into the game?
I think it's in a better place than it was a year ago heading into the game for sure. And part of the reason why is we know who their best players are, and so do they. And they show up. I'm going to focus on the safeties with this situation. Lathan Ransom's a dude at this point, whether it's making plays on defense or making plays on special teams. He's on a punt block the last 2 weeks. And the last time Michigan came to Ohio State, 2018, a punt block literally flipped momentum in the entire game, and it's the reason why they walked away with a 62-39 win. I'm not saying that is or isn't going to happen, but having a safety like that who, I don't know, 12 months ago, nobody would have thought that he would have had this big of an impact on this team. We maybe would have thought, Josh Proctor's back. He's going to have this impact. But basically, since the moment Josh Proctor got pulled against Notre Dame, Lathan Ransom has been trending in the right direction. He's had one bad game against Northwestern, and he's completely wiped that out of people's memory with the way he's played the last couple of weeks here with making plays. And so having guys like that at safety who can prevent guys like Blake Corum from breaking off these yards that should be 7-yard runs into these 70-yard runs, I think it starts there, and then you work your way up to the front with some other guys.
Yeah, the important thing is we also don't know exactly who they're going to face in terms of Michigan. Blake Corum was hurt today and had to leave the game. Donovan Edwards didn't play today in Michigan's game against Illinois. So a lot of things still up in the air as to who exactly Ohio State's going to see out of that backfield. But something that Steele Chambers said to me earlier this week has really stuck in my head as I'm started to evaluate this Michigan game, and that was talking about how last year this defense would be in 3rd and 10 situations and sort of just be hoping that somehow they got off the field. And like the most advantageous situation you'd be in, but they still didn't have their confidence level was that low. And then now this is a team that expects to go out and just go 3 and out every time. And this was not their sharpest performance. Maryland was able to exploit some things. Talia Tagovailoa started the game 11 of 11, was 16 of 18 at halftime, was much sharper than he'd been the last 2 weeks, and did some things with his legs as well. And this was a game, though, where I thought they made some of the same adjustments that they've made all year. When this defense needed to step up late in crucial situations, whether it was causing that touchdown at the end of the game that made this a bigger score, a bigger margin than the game really was, or even before that, forcing the 3 and out that led to the last Ohio State drive that led them, where they could eat a lot of clock. I mean, they stepped up in some big moments. Lathan Ransom made 2 big tackles before he forced that punt, where he forced the punt and then blocked the punt. So this defense is still kind of in control of its own destiny out there a little bit. You feel this defense most weeks being the one that sort of pushes the action, and I think that's going to be still a big factor in their favor next week against Michigan. Doug, your thoughts on where this sits? Obviously, in particular, I think the linebacker situation has come a long way since last year, as I was talking about with Steele Chambers. I think that alone gives Ohio State a better chance of winning this game.
So Ohio State got up 27-13, and then the defense gave up 2 75-yard touchdown drives back-to-back possessions to let Maryland back in the game. And so my feeling coming off this game for Ohio State is I don't know that, late in the game it's like, oh, is this defense going to, shut down a team when you need them to shut a team down? I don't know. Maryland got back on the field late in this game, trailing 33-30. Maryland having driven for long touchdowns the previous 2 times they had the ball. And I thought, well, I think Ohio State might be losing here because I don't know if this defense is going to get a stop. And then they got 3 and out. Now, what usually happens late is that when they really, really need it, the defensive line gets pressure and they screw stuff up. And they did that again. So I do think there's a good chance of that happening late in games, but I am coming away a little bit after the 11th game of the year thinking, clearly this defense has improved. Way better than last year. But, is it a win-the-game kind of defense? I think at times it has been. But to me, when you give up 2 late, long drives to Maryland to let them stay in the game, it at least raises questions about that.
And there are a couple of things that were happening there personnel-wise. They had Jair Brown, a true freshman, in at corner when they had their top 3 corners healthy, or at least coming into the game. So we don't know exactly what the situation was there, but there were some weird personnel things that we'll probably find more out about in the coming days. So listen to Buckeye Talk. Anywhere you can find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315, because as we talk to more coaches and players and other people in the week ahead, we'll be letting you know exactly what they're saying about where this Ohio State defense is heading into the game on Saturday.